Hey guys, welcome to Rosie's Dessert Spot. In this tutorial I'll be demonstrating how to create delicious Swiss meringue buttercream. This is a meringue based buttercream as the name suggests, so we're going to need to separate our egg whites from our egg yolk. I used about 6 eggs here and I had about 215 grams worth of egg white. The recipe for this will be listed in the description box below this video. Next is to add in our caster sugar. So this will be double the weight of your egg white, which is about 430 grams. Yes, it looks like a lot of sugar, but it's okay, it's actually not as sweet as you might think. Grab your whisk and just combine the two ingredients together, and then transfer the bowl, make sure it's either glass or metal, over a bain-marie or a saucepan with a little bit of simmering water. Make sure the water does not touch your container. Continue whisking vigorously for about 5 to 7 minutes until it's all dissolved, and you can check by putting in your fingers, running it between your fingers, and if there's no grains left, then you know you're done. Or bring it up to 69 degrees Celsius, that's also another way to tell. On my Kenwood Chef XL titanium machine, I've got a whisk attachment and I'm whisking my egg whites until I get a nice fluffy meringue, and it's completely cool to the touch on the side of the bowl, so you want to make sure that it's nice and cold, otherwise your butter will melt. This takes about a good 7 to 10 minutes. Make sure your butter is softened to room temperature by leaving it out overnight or jazzing it up in the microwave for a couple of seconds at a time, so your finger goes through it and it's no resistance. And then throw it in a little bit at a time. I'm talking maybe about a teaspoon at a time, making sure it's been incorporated before you add in the next one. Halfway through, you can scrape down the bowl. It will be a little bit soupy. Just keep mixing, it will split likely, just keep mixing, and eventually you'll have a really nice velvety frosting. And if it is soupy and it doesn't thicken up, you can pop your bowl into the fridge for about 15 minutes and then continue whipping after 15 minutes and it'll come to. This took me about 10 minutes. Once I had a nice frosting, I added in my flavouring. So I've used vanilla bean here with little black beans in there just to add some texture, and that's what you'll end up with at the end. Very smooth, very creamy and velvety. It's going to be a little bit aerated because we did use the whisk. You can leave it just as is, or you can pop on your paddle attachment and let it run on medium to low speed just for 2 minutes to pump out any excess air that's in your frosting. This just makes it a bit more velvety. You can pop it into a piping bag with a 1M piping tip, and that's a very strong edge on your frosting. So it holds its shape really well, it's very velvety, very pale and beautiful. That's a rosette. You can also make a mound of buttercream frosting instead. And it tastes very delicious too. Aside from decorating cupcakes, you can also colour it with gel food colours. So here I've added in some gel food colour by Chef Master and just stirring it through with a teaspoon, and it colours really nicely too. Pop some into a piping bag fitted with a 104 piping tip, attaching a little bit of baking paper to a flour nail, zigzagging a little mountain, and then angling the skinny side inwards, squeezing and turning the flour nail to create a little bud right in the center. Once you have that bud, you can start creating your petals. So I like to do 3, and I like to arch the petals over that mound and overlap them as I do this. I like to work with odd numbers, so the next row will be 5 petals. Start right in the middle of a previous one, and then continue that system, starting just in the middle of your very previous piped petal, and always arching. As you get further and further out of your flower, you can angle your piping tip a bit more towards yourself so it opens up the rows instead of creating a closed flower, as you can see here. Pop it into the freezer for at least 15 minutes so it has time to set nice and hard. And then you can handle it with your hands and pop it onto your cupcake. I also have a little leaf tip that I created here. As you can see on the piping bag, it's like a inward pointing triangle, and that's how you make homemade leaf tips. You can also frost the inside and the outside of your cake as well. So here I'm just leveling off at the very top with my small spatula. Whenever I work with cakes any smaller than 6 inches, I like to use a smaller spatula. Go around with your scraper to smooth it down, and then bring that lip of frosting to the center. And I find that Swiss Meringue Buttercream does create really nice sharp edges on your cake too. Pop it into the fridge to set for 20 minutes, and then decorate as you like. The number tips that I've used here will be listed in the description box below for you guys as well. Just creating a border of rosettes at the very top. And then using a teaspoon to fill in the center with some edible gold pearls. And I'm using a teaspoon because I don't want any of them to end up on the rosettes. I want it to be just in the center, and a teaspoon gives me the best control for that. That's how you make the leaf tip, so just cut internally so you have an inward pointing triangle, and then pop your little leaves wherever you see fit on your cake. And that is how you make delicious Swiss Meringue Buttercream. It's perfect for piping, it's nice and stiff for creating flowers as well, and a lot smoother. And you can also fill and decorate the outside of your cake with Swiss Meringue Buttercream. So it does have its advantages. Normally I use American buttercream, it's very grainy and it sets hard, so it crusts, whereas Swiss Meringue Buttercream does not crust. It's nice and velvety on the tongue, no graininess whatsoever, and definitely not as sweet as American buttercream. So overall, a really good alternative for your filling. And it's best stored in an airtight container in your fridge if you can, for about a week and a half. If you do need it, bring it out of the fridge and let it sit on your counter overnight. It's totally safe. It can actually even be stored at room temperature for about a couple of days. I wouldn't do more than 3 days at room temperature. And that's probably the only reason why I don't really use it, because I have this thing about raw egg. I can't have mousse, I can't have tiramisu unless I make it myself, and I know that it's just all cream based. But that's why I don't usually make this. But I have had so much request from you guys, because you guys do love it, and you wanted to know how to make it, so this is for you. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for joining me today, and if you make the recipe, tell me what you think of it. This is my own kind of measurements and it worked out beautifully. So I hope you like it, and I'll catch you guys again on Tuesday next week for another cake decorating tutorial. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, don't forget to do so. We upload a new video every Tuesday. Bye for now.